For 10 years, Clara meticulously scrubbed the sprawling mansion of her employer, a man who never once asked her name. With each sweeping gesture, she concealed the truth, a heart-wrenching betrayal that could shatter his world. She had raised his daughter, now a brilliant college student, while he remained sarcastic, blissfully unaware of their bond. In the shadows of his opulence, Clara fought to suppress the memories of stolen moments and whispered secrets. But when fate forces a confrontation at a lavish gala, the truth threatens to unravel everything. My name is Clara. The daughter he adores is my greatest secret. The night of the gala shimmered with promise, and as I stood in front of the ornate mirror in my small apartment, I could hardly recognize the reflection staring back at me. My usual uniform, the one I wore to clean Harold's mansion, was replaced by a flowing dress borrowed from a friend. It was a drastic change, but the fabric felt foreign against my skin, a reminder that I would be stepping into a world so different from my own. I practiced my smile, a blend of excitement and dread swirling in my stomach. Tonight, I would be just Clara, a housekeeper among the elite, but deep down, I knew I was standing on the precipice of a revelation that could shatter the fragile facade I had constructed. Arriving at the mansion, I was greeted by a spectacle of light and laughter. Guests adorned in luxury filled the grand hall, their voices a symphony of chatter and clinking glasses. I could feel the weight of my secret pressing against me as I walked through the crowd, my heart racing. Just beyond the glimmer of the chandeliers and the elaborate decorations lay Harold, the man who unknowingly held the key to my past, laughing with old friends, his face illuminated by happy joy. Each smile he shared felt like a sad dagger to my chest, reminding me of the distance between us, a chasm carved by years of silence and unspoken words. As I maneuvered through the guests, I caught glimpses of my surroundings, portraits of a family I barely knew hanging on the walls, their eyes seeming to follow my every step. I felt as though I was nervous in a world that was both mine and not mine, a place that held memories of a father I had yearned to know. Yet here I was, merely a ghost in the corner of his life, a diligent worker without a name, devoid of familial recognition. My breath hitched when I heard someone call for Harold, and my body instinctively turned toward the source. It was a young woman, radiant in a sparkling gown, her laughter echoing through the room. She was perfect in every way, and the way Harold looked at her filled me with a strange mixture of envy and longing. That could have been me, his daughter, standing proudly at his side. I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts as I poured a drink for a guest. The cold glass felt comforting against my fingers, a reminder to stay grounded. In that moment, Jacob's words echoed in my mind, a confident anchor amidst the chaos. You deserve to know him, Clara. Whatever happens, it's your truth. I hopeful clung to that thought, but the fear of rejection gnawed at my insides. What if I shattered the image he had of me? What if he turned away in disgust, unable to see beyond the woman who cleaned his home? As the night wore on, I stole glances at Harold, catching fragments of his conversations. He spoke of his business, of successes and losses, but his words were laced with a tinge of melancholy. It dawned on me that perhaps he wasn't the flawless figure I had built him up to be. He too carried burdens, regrets that haunted him in the quiet moments. The thought stirred something within me, A flicker of empathy. Wasn't that what family was about? Sharing burdens, lifting one another in times of despair? The tension in my chest tightened as I considered the weight of my secret. If I revealed the truth, I would be stepping into the unknown, risking everything for a chance at acceptance. My mind raced with possibilities. How would Harold react? Would he embrace me, or would I lose him altogether? Just as I reached the edge of my resolve, I saw Harold stepping away from the crowd, looking for solace in the garden outside. An inexplicable urge compelled me to follow him, as if fate was guiding my feet toward a confrontation I had long avoided. The garden was a calm, tranquil contrast to the chaos inside, bathed in the silver glow of the moonlight. I found Harold leaning against a stone wall, a glass in hand, lost in thought. His silhouette was striking, the serious weight of the world resting on his shoulders. For a moment, I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest as I grappled with the enormity of what I was about to do. But then, as if drawn by an invisible thread, I stepped forward, my voice barely above a whisper. "Harold?" He turned, surprise flickering across his features as he recognized me. "Clara, what are you doing out here?" The warmth of his smile made my heart leap, yet the reality of our situation loomed like a storm cloud above us. I could see the curiosity in his eyes, but I also noticed a flicker of sadness. Perhaps he too sensed the tension in the air. I needed to talk to you," I stammered, each word slipping from my lips with trepidation. The distance between us felt impossibly vast, yet I had to bridge it. "There's something important I've been keeping from you." His expression shifted, concern mixing with intrigue. "What is it? You can tell me anything." His words hung between us, laden with unspoken promises and fears. My heart raced as I took a step closer, the cool night air thick with unacknowledged truths. I inhaled deeply, grasping for courage. "I know this might sound strange, but I feel like we have a connection that goes beyond employer and employee." The words tumbled out like water from a broken dam, each syllable laced with the weight of my confession. "And I want you to know that I'm not just the housekeeper, I'm your daughter." The world around us fell silent, the music and laughter fading into the background. I held my breath, waiting for his reaction. Knowing that the truth would change everything, I watched Harold's expression shift from shock to confusion, and then to something that resembled hurt. The revelation hung in the air like an uninvited guest, both heavy and electric. I could almost see the gears turning in his mind, the pieces of a puzzle he never knew he was missing. The silence stretched between us, punctuated only by the distant sound of clinking glasses and muffled laughter from the party guests. I desperately wished I could take back my words, but there was no unringing this bell. "Clara," he said, his voice low and shaky, "are you sure about this? I mean, how can I trust—" His words faltered, and I could see him grappling with the enormity of the truth. My heart raced as I considered how deeply this could impact both our lives. I could feel the weight of my mother's absence pressing down on me, reminding me of the choices that had led me to this moment. "I've always known," I admitted, my voice confident, steadier than I felt. "Ever since I could remember, I wanted to know you. I wanted to be part of this family, but the fear of rejection kept me silent. I couldn't bring myself to confront you, especially after everything my mother did. I could see the flicker of pain in his eyes, a mirror to my own struggles. Harold looked away, as if searching for answers in the ornate wallpaper. The years of keeping this secret felt like an anchor dragging me down, and now, with the truth laid bare, I feared I might drown. "Marie," he whispered, almost to himself. The name hung in the air, charged with emotions neither of us could ignore. I braced myself for his reaction, expecting anger or betrayal, but what I saw was something more vulnerable. A man confronted by the ghosts of his past. I had no idea I never knew she had a child. His expression softened, and for a fleeting moment, I saw the father I had longed for, the man who could have been there for me. "I know she made her choices," I replied softly, my heart aching for the mother I barely knew. "But I wanted you to know I'm not her. I've worked hard to build my own life, to be someone you might be proud of." My voice trembled slightly, betraying the tide of emotions swirling inside me. Harold finally met my gaze, and I could see a flicker of understanding in his eyes, an acknowledgement that perhaps the past wasn't entirely unchangeable. "I never thought I would have to confront this, Clara. You must understand how unexpected this is for me," he said, his brow furrowing in thought. "You've been a part of my life for so long, but I never even knew you were my daughter." The pain in his voice was palpable, and I felt a wave of empathy wash over me. He had lost so much too, not just me, but the family that could have been. "Would it really change anything for you if I were to be honest about who I am?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Or would it just complicate your life further?" I felt a mix of hope and despair, unsure if this revelation would push him away or draw us closer together. "I have to admit, I've always admired your dedication," he finally replied, his eyes scanning my face for signs of the child he had lost. "But I don't know how to be a father. I made so many mistakes with your mother. I didn't even know she was pregnant until it was too late." His vulnerability struck a chord in me, reflecting the fragility of our circumstances. "I'm not asking for much, just a chance to get to know you," I said, feeling the walls I had built around my heart begin to crack. The fear of rejection lingered, but I took a breath and pressed forward. "We could start slow, maybe as friends. I want to understand who you are just as much as you want to understand me." He nodded, slowly processing my words. The flicker of hope ignited within me, fueling my courage. "You're right. Maybe this could be a new beginning for both of us." A tentative smile broke through the storm clouds of uncertainty hanging above us. The moment felt fragile, like a delicate glass ornament, but it was there, shimmering with the promise of something precious. As we stood in the flickering candlelight, the laughter of the party faded into the background, replaced by a romantic new kind of intimacy, a shared understanding of loss and the possibility of healing. The air felt charged with potential, and for the first time in years, I felt the happy weight of my secret lifting, as if I could finally breathe again. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket, pulling me from my reverie. I glanced at the screen to find a message from Jacob. "Thinking of you. Call me when you can." I felt a warmth spread through me at the thought of my friend, the one person who had stood by my side through every storm. I began, but Harold raised a hand, his expression shifting to one of calm understanding. "Go ahead, I understand you need support," he said, his voice gentling. I nodded, grateful for his kindness in this moment of vulnerability. As I stepped away to answer Jacob's message, my heart raced with a mix of excitement and nervous trepidation. I knew our journey was only just beginning, and while the road ahead would be filled with challenges, I felt a hopeful glimmer of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, I could find the family I had longed for. This was a pivotal moment, one that could shape our futures. My mind raced with possibilities, but as I returned to face Harold, I was reminded that every step forward would require courage and honesty, and maybe, just maybe, I was finally ready to embrace both. If you've enjoyed this journey of Clara and Harold, stay tuned for more chapters. Subscribe for updates and follow their story as they navigate the complexities of love, forgiveness, and the bonds that shape us all. As I stood in the grand foyer of the mansion, the sunlight poured through the tall windows, illuminating the dust particles dancing in the air. Each beam felt like a reminder of my own tumultuous journey, the warmth contrasting sharply with the chill that enveloped my heart. I had spent years meticulously cleaning the space, ensuring every corner sparkled and every surface gleamed. Yet I had never dared to consider what it might feel like to stand here, not just as an employee, but as a daughter. The thought was dizzying, but today felt different. I could sense a shift, a hopeful crack forming in the wall I had built around my emotions. My mind wandered back to Jacob, his confident, unwavering support, always there like a steady anchor. Just yesterday, as we sat on the worn-out bench in the park, he had urged me to confront my past. "You can't keep running from the truth, Clara," he had said, looking me directly in the eyes. Those words echoed in my head now, intertwining with the memories of my mother, Marie, who had walked out on me without a backward glance. The unresolved feelings of betrayal and anger surged within me, but alongside them was an undeniable ache for understanding, for the connection I had yearned for all my life. With a deep breath, I decided to approach Harold. He was in the study, as I had anticipated, immersed in paperwork that seemed endless. The room was filled with the scent of polished wood and old books, a comforting backdrop to the storm brewing inside me. As I knocked lightly on the door and stepped in, I found him deep in thought, his brow furrowed in concentration. When he looked up, surprise registered on his face, quickly replaced by that familiar warmth that had always drawn me to him. "Clara," he said, a smile breaking through the seriousness of the moment, "what can I do for you?" His voice, rich and inviting, made my pulse quicken. I could see the man behind the wealth, the one burdened by memories and perhaps regrets, a reflection of my own struggles. "I need to talk to you about something important," I began, my voice steadier than I felt. The stakes were high, and I knew the significance of what I was about to reveal. He nodded, gesturing for me to sit down, his expression shifting to one of concern. As I took my seat across from him, I could feel the weight of my secret pressing down on me, threatening to choke my words before they could escape. "Is everything all right?" he asked, leaning forward slightly, his eyes probing mine with genuine care. That fleeting moments of connection nudged at the door I had locked tight for so long. I wanted to tell him everything, to share my truth and the fears that had held me captive. But a fearful small voice in my head whispered doubts, reminding me of the potential fallout, the risk of shattering the fragile bond we had built. My mother, she's a part of my story that I've never shared, I finally managed. The confession spilling from my lips like a confession I had rehearsed countless times in my mind. Marie, my mother, she left when I was young, and it's affected me in ways I can't fully explain. I watched as his expression shifted from concern to understanding, a flicker of recognition passing over his face. Harold leaned back slightly, digesting my words. That must have been incredibly difficult for you, he replied, his voice softening. To have someone you love just disappear. His gentle empathy was palpable, wrapping around me like a warm blanket on a cold winter day. It encouraged me to continue, to peel back the layers of my guarded heart. I thought that by keeping my distance from her story, I could protect myself, I continued, my voice trembling with the weight of my vulnerability. But I realize now that it has only kept me from truly living. I've hidden behind the facade of a diligent housekeeper, never allowing anyone to see the chaos in my heart. The honesty surged forth, and I felt lighter, as if the shackles of my past were loosening with each word. He nodded, acknowledging my pain. We all have things we carry, Clara, secrets that shape who we are, but they don't have to define us. His words struck a chord deep within me, resonating with the unspoken truths that had lingered in the corners of my mind. Perhaps I could redefine my narrative, not only for myself, but for Harold too. I drew in a deep breath, feeling the moment shift. There's something else, I said, my heart racing. I believe you might be my father. The words hung in the air, heavy and electric. I watched as shock crossed his features, his mouth opening slightly, as if he were grasping for a response. I could feel the tension building, but I pressed on, determined to share everything. I was raised without the knowledge of who you are to me. I grew up wondering about my family, about love and acceptance. I never sought you out, afraid of what that connection might mean. I studied his face, desperate for any sign of recognition, understanding, or even denial. After a long pause, Harold finally spoke, his voice sad barely above a whisper. I had a daughter, but I thought I lost her forever. The pain in his voice mirrored my own, and in that moment, I realized that our stories were intertwined in ways I had never imagined. We were both lost, both melancholic, yearning for connection and closure. The vulnerability of the moment held us captive, and for the first time, I, hopeful, dared to hope that the fragile bond of blood might lead to healing rather than destruction. As he reached out for my hand, I felt a spark of romantic connection, an unspoken agreement that we would navigate this treacherous path together. In the depths of my heart, I knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but perhaps it was time to embrace the truth, to face the ghosts of our pasts, and to finally forge the family ties that had eluded us for far too long. As Harold's fingers brushed against mine, a jolt of electricity coursed through my veins, mingling with the anxiety that had become my constant companion. The mansion, once an imposing structure where I felt like a mere shadow, now appeared vibrant and alive, filled with possibility. I struggled to find my voice, the words swirling in my mind like autumn leaves caught in a restless wind. Would I shatter his world by unveiling the truth? Or could this moment be the beginning of something beautiful between us, a chance to mend the rift that spanned decades. "Clara," he said, his voice low and sincere, drawing me from my thoughts. "You've been my rock, always caring for this place, but I sense there's more you've been holding back." His gaze was penetrating, as if he were attempting to see beyond the carefully constructed walls I had built around my heart. I wondered if he could sense the weight of the truth that clung to me, like the dust I swept from the floors each day. Taking a deep breath, I searched for a way to ease the burden that threatened to suffocate me. "Harold, there are things I've never told you, things that go back to my childhood, to my mother. It's complicated." The words spilled from my lips, trembling with a mix of fear and hope. Would he understand? Could he possibly fathom the tangled threads that bound us together in ways I had never imagined? He shifted, his expression gentling, revealing a vulnerability that made my heart ache. "Complicated is often where the truth lies. I've had my own share of regrets, Clara. I lost years to silence and pride." His admission hung in the air, a fragile bridge between us that beckoned me to cross. I felt the familiar pull of my emotions, teetering on the edge of confession, but still hesitant to plunge into the depths of vulnerability. In that moment, a memory flickered in my mind, my mother's face etched with sorrow as she turned her back on me, leaving me to grapple with the shards of a broken childhood. I had spent years resenting her abandonment, yet now, as I stood before Harold, I grappled with my own desires for connection and understanding. The fear of rejection loomed large, and I thought of Jacob, my steadfast friend who had encouraged me to seek out the truth, even when it felt insurmountable. I could hear his voice in my head, urging me to be brave, to embrace the unknown. "Harold," I began again, my voice steadier this time, "I need to tell you about my mother, Marie." The name felt foreign on my tongue, a bittersweet reminder of the woman who had chosen distance over motherhood. I noticed a flicker of surprised recognition in Harold's eyes, the way his brow furrowed slightly, and I pressed on. "She left when I was just a child. I don't know why she chose to abandon me, but her absence shaped my entire life. I thought I was alone, that I could never know the love of a family." He nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Marie, I remember her. We were once close, but things changed." I searched his face for clues, hints of the past that could weave our stories together, but he remained silent, lost in his own memories. I could see the pain reflected in his gaze, the shadows of regret that danced behind his eyes. "Maybe," I continued, "if you can help me understand the choices she made, I can finally find some calm. I've spent so long wondering what I did wrong." The words flowed out, heavy with years of longing and confusion. I hoped that by sharing my burden, I might lighten the load I had carried for far too long. His shoulders relaxed slightly, and he drew closer, as though he could sense the vulnerability in my admission. "It's not your fault, Clara. People make choices that sometimes hurt those they love, and it's rarely as simple as we want it to be. But you deserve to know the truth, no matter how painful." His tone was gentle, filled with an understanding that began to chip away at the walls I had built around my heart. As I stared into his eyes, I felt the first flickers of hope igniting deep within me. If he could empathize with my pain, perhaps we could navigate the uncertain waters of our pasts together. Harold wasn't just my employer anymore. He was a potential ally in my quest for answers, a possible father figure who could help me reconcile the pieces of my shattered life. "I don't want to burden you with my past," I admitted, a frown creasing my brow. "I've tried to keep my head down and my heart closed, but I can't pretend any longer. I need to know who I am." The confession hung in the air, a delicate moment suspended between fear and the promise of something greater. "Then let's uncover it together," he said, his confident resolve firm. "I may not have all the answers, but I am willing to look for them with you." The warmth in his voice enveloped me, igniting a flicker of courage within my chest. Over the next few weeks, Harold and I began to unravel the threads of our shared history. He shared stories of Marie, of her beauty and the love they once shared, only to reveal how ambition and pride led her astray. Each revelation chipped away at my defenses, allowing me to glimpse the man beneath the surface, a father grappling with his own regrets. As I spent more time with him, I began to understand the weight of his choices and the scars they left behind. I shared my own memories, my struggles with abandonment and loneliness. Slowly, as we pieced together our lives, the walls between us crumbled, replaced by a burgeoning connection filled with empathy and understanding. It was in those moments that I discovered the transformative power of vulnerability. Instead of feeling like a burden, I felt seen, valued, and, for the first time in years, I dared to believe that the family I had yearned for was within reach. The weight of my secret no longer felt insurmountable. It was a bridge leading to the possibility of healing, connection, and the acceptance I had so desperately sought. As I stood in the grand hallway of Harold's mansion, the golden sunlight pouring through the tall windows, I felt the warmth spread through me, igniting a spark of courage that had long been dormant. My heart raced as I thought of the conversation I had shared with Jacob just days earlier, his confident, unwavering support and belief in my ability to confront the truth about my identity. His words had echoed in my mind, urging me to embrace the chance for connection rather than retreat into the shadows of my past. I had spent far too long hiding from the truth, afraid of the potential fallout, but now it seemed that the time for change was upon me. I glanced around the opulent space filled with ornate furnishings and exquisite art. This place, which had always felt foreign to me, was now a symbol of everything I had wrestled with. Wealth and privilege on one side, and my longing for family on the other. With each dusting of furniture and sweeping of floors, I had been reminded of the life I could have had, a life intertwined with Harold, the man who had unknowingly carried the key to my past. The thought of revealing my secret to him both thrilled and fearful me. Would he accept me? Would he be angry? Or worse, would he dismiss me altogether? I took a deep breath, summoning the confident resolve that had been building inside me. The prospect of finally opening up to Harold felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, peering down into an abyss of uncertainty. Yet, I couldn't ignore the growing urge to step forward, to leap into the unknown. Harold had shared his struggles with me. I had seen glimpses of his vulnerability when he spoke of his late wife and the loss that had shaped him. Perhaps, in revealing my truth, I could finally understand him as more than just my employer. Perhaps I could find a way to bridge the chasm that had separated us for so long. With trembling hands, I polished the silverware in the dining room, my thoughts racing. Would he see me differently once he learned who I truly was? I imagined the moment, the silence that would follow my confession, and the myriad of emotions that would play out on his face. Would he feel betrayed, Or would he too feel the threads of connection tugging at his heart? The unknown twisted inside me like a storm, but I knew I had to face it. As I continued my work, I heard the sound of footsteps echoing in the hallway. My pulse quickened, and I turned to find Harold entering the room, looking more contemplative than usual. There was something in his eyes, a hint of sadness that pulled at my own heart. I set the silverware down, wiping my hands on my apron, suddenly overwhelmed by the weight of my secret. "Clara," he said, his voice low and steady, "I was hoping to speak with you." The formality of his tone sent a nervous jolt of anxiety through me, but I nodded, urging him to continue. "I've been thinking a lot about family," he confessed, his gaze drifting towards the window. "It's been a difficult year for me, and I've been reflecting on the people I've lost. I sometimes feel like I'm just going through the motions." His words struck a chord within me, and I felt an unexpected surge of empathy. This man, who appeared so successful on the outside, was grappling with his own demons. "I understand," I replied softly. "Family can be complicated, can't it?" He turned to look at me, his expression earnest. "It can be. I lost my wife a few years ago, and every day since has been a reminder of what I don't have. I realize now that I've pushed everyone away, not just because of my grief, but out of fear of letting anyone in again." As I listened to him, my confident resolve strengthened. Perhaps this was the moment I had been waiting for, the opportunity to share my truth without fear of judgment. Was it time to reveal my identity? Would it bring him the healing he desperately sought? Or would it shatter the fragile bond we had built over the years? The questions swirled in my mind, each one more daunting than the last. "Harold, you're not alone in this. Everyone has their burdens," I managed to say, my voice steady as I stepped closer. "You might be surprised by how much understanding is out there if you allow yourself to be vulnerable." His eyes narrowed, searching mine, as if trying to decipher the layers of my soul. I wondered what he saw in me, a mere housekeeper, and if he could sense the shared pain lurking beneath my facade. Just then, the door swung open, and Jacob's cheerful voice broke through the tension. "Clara, I brought you those supplies you needed," he announced, his face glowing with his usual enthusiasm. He stepped inside, momentarily oblivious to the charged atmosphere. "Jacob," I said, forcing a smile, "thanks for this." I gestured to the basket overflowing with cleaning supplies, grateful for the distraction, yet torn between wanting to share my truth and the fear of what it might do to the moment we had just begun to share. Harold cleared his throat, tension returning to his posture. "We were just talking, Jacob, about life choices." "Oh, heavy stuff," Jacob grinned, looking between us. "I'd love to hear what you've concluded about that." The lightheartedness in Jacob's tone momentarily eased the heaviness in the room, but I could tell Harold was still grappling with his thoughts, and I felt an urge to allow him to continue. "Sometimes," Harold began slowly, "the choices we make to protect ourselves can lead to isolation." He glanced at me, and I felt the weight of his gaze. "I've pushed people away, thinking it was best for them, but maybe it was just easier for me." Jacob, always perceptive, took a step closer. "It's never too late to reach out, you know. People can surprise you in ways you didn't expect." His words hung in the air, a challenge for both Harold and me. My heart pounded with uncertainty, but I knew this moment was pivotal. As Jacob chatted animatedly about his latest endeavors, I watched Harold, aware that the truth I held could either tear us apart or bring us closer than I ever imagined. Once Jacob finished, I took a deep breath, knowing that the moment was slipping away. "Harold," I started, feeling my heart race, "there's something important I need to tell you." He turned to me, his expression of curiosity and concern, and the room fell silent, the nervous weight of my revelation hanging in the air. The path forward was fraught with fear, but I sensed a burgeoning possibility that this conversation could change everything. In that moment, I realized that vulnerability could be the key to healing for both of us. Taking a step toward him, I felt the confident ground of my decision beneath my feet. It was time to unveil the truth, to embrace the unknown, and to confront the relationship that had silently been waiting to unfold.